Across many lifetimes, I came back. You heard? I remember this. Over many lifetimes, I came back. Many different bodies, many different reasons, many different seasons. But I came back. The infamous is a more. I claim that. I claim that. And I claim it proudly. Astrology is my legacy. Let me clarify. I want you to look at your life in order to the losses that you've been suffering, in order to the setbacks that you've been suffering, the blockages, everything else, inconveniences, context of your life that you used to relate to and find your confidence in, context of your life that you used to feel alive, the hot blood running through your veins, that passion of Sagittarius that's on the return now through the Juno transit. Understand that we're going to feel it again, but we're going to feel it in the authentic way. Before, it was an illusion. Understand that. We can't become the revolutionary codes. That is the Pluto Aquarius transit. We can't kick in the revolutionary codes if you're too comfortable. If you're surrounded by all of the things that you like. If you're surrounded by all of the things that you like to sensualize. If you're surrounded by all of the things that spoils your senses, that overwhelms your senses. It becomes a place of escape. It becomes a place of addiction. It becomes a place of indulgence. It spoils the body and it rids the body of its strength and intensity. It also causes you to compromise and side with something else other than the truth. You get scared to side with the truth when you got too much going on of comfort. Understand that. You have to be inconvenienced in order to walk the line of truth. You have to lose some things to walk the line of truth to become the authentic version of yourself. Otherwise, you're gonna be pussy, nigga. Pussy, nigga. And yo, I'm gonna tell y'all right now, that first house, to actualize it, to bring it out and express it, to align with it truthfully, understand that. You gotta fight for that, man. That shit ain't coming to you easy. You really gotta fight for it. It's a warrior's position. It's a warrior's mission. It ain't just gonna fall in your lap. You gotta be willing to fight to align with that first house, because there's plenty opposition, antagonism, pushback. Understand that. You gotta go through the shadows of rejection, isolation, betrayal, mutiny, manipulation, deception. All these things are checkpoints. You can't blow the mission. Cowardice has to be bled out of you. Understand that. You know what we going through. And the emotionality is where that all starts. Internal conflict. The water triangle. That's where we coming out of. We coming out of the waters. Where everything roots from. Where everything begins. That has life in the body. Of good and bad. Salvation is the first stop. Clearing that conscience, clearing the heart, realigning with the matriarchal foundation to clear the conscience. That lightens the heart. It makes us receptive. And when we have a clear heart and we're receptive, we can receive the revelation that leads to the revolution. Because the instructions are in a revelation that leads to the revolution. Collectively, it's a collective download. But you got to clear space to get your memo. Your memory's all backed up with a bunch of junk. Just like a computer file. You can't download because you ain't got no fucking memory. You ain't got no space. You telling me you not willing to fight to become who you are? You just gonna lay down, ain't you? Scorpio has been part of this revelation. And part of that revelation through Scorpio is to repurpose the drama. Repurpose the pain. Understand that. Turn the venom into antidote. From here I send ye forth into the world. To be as wise as serpents, but harmless as doves. That's the point right there, nigga. Fuck, you ain't get the memo? Sitting there crying, woe is me, oh this going on, oh that's going on. Yeah, I get the hurt, I get the pain, but we supposed to use that hurt and pain. Transform and transmute it. That's the medicine. Where else you gonna get the medicine from? Where else you gonna get the cure from? Where else the wisdom coming from? We don't cry about Chiron. We let the light in. As the pain intensifies, we let that light in, because that's the only place the light gonna come from. Ain't no fucking Cinderella story, you heard? It's your story. Your story is the victory. It's the codes. It's the cheat code. It tells you how to get there. We welcome the trials that are prescribed for us. We welcome our portion of pain, burden, disappointment, letdown, setback, guilt, shame, all of that. We welcome it because it's part of the instructions. It's part of the character development that we need. At the 10th house, it's very specific what character you're supposed to have. At the 10th house, that's your character. But the character ain't coming from nowhere. It's coming from you sticking to the instructions of the 6th house over and over again in repetition, till you start to understand what's good for you apart from what you desire. What's best for you apart from what you prefer to have. So much favor, so much mercy, so much grace is done for us, but yet we look at it like it's something being done to us. And let me say this. Don't defend talking points. Defend the truth. Don't defend talking points. Defend the truth. But before we can defend the truth, we got to recover the truth for what it is and accept it for what it is. That's the reason for Scorpio. That's in all contexts, across all thresholds of our reality. And it's the very thing that's hard to look at and accept and fucking deal with. Every demographic is being faced with truth about themselves right now. It's not a point to divide us, to put us against each other. It's a point to get us to recover the excellence of ourselves, the best of ourselves, the peace in ourselves, and the trust that should be restored there to unite ourselves on the other side of it. Every demographic, you got your issues that you need to accept as the truth about you and your house, i.e. your peoples. Every one of us. Clean your shit up, I clean my shit up. And by that we can trust each other. Understand that. Because it's not us against us, it's us against those principalities in high places that has to hold on us and now our children. Well, how can you have a beginning and you scared to look at the truth? You scared to investigate. You scared to find out what the fuck is going on. 11th house is the context, whether you like it or not, because that's where the fuck Pluto is at. What the fuck you ain't understand about that, nigga? You think you running and hiding and shit. Nah, you coming out to the 11th house too. I'm an 11th house leader. Number 1 heart, soul, urge. Mars Sun conjunction at the 11th house. North Node at the 11th house. I'm giving marching orders, nigga. I'm showing you what strength look like. Leo rising. Fuck is you talking about? And to the females out there, nobody ever taught a lot of y'all what a woman is. And I know a lot of y'all don't like the fact that a nigga up here telling you about it. It burns you up inside, it pisses you off, it make you so mad and resentful that a nigga out here telling you this shit, don't it? Just admit it to yourself. You don't like that a nigga telling you this. That shit piss you off. You don't like that a nigga up here explaining this shit. Well, guess what? I came back after many lifetimes. I'm a Moor. It's my legacy. And I did this in other lifetimes and I came the fuck back. So I'm here. Accept it. What hasn't been taught to women is that you represent the principle of the conscience. Wherever you go, you are the conscience, and you must never betray that post. And the conscience, it defends justice and truth and love. It reminds of justice, truth, and love, and compassion, fair dealing, the laws of Ma'at. It insists on the ways of Ma'at. That's the basis and foundation of your identity as a woman. So when you side with agendas and regimes that has you to contradict having a conscience or the moral compass, you have gone totally astray from your natural design, and you will never have peace within yourself. Understand that. A lot of what I'm about to cover has to do with the first house. I want you to look at your first house. Understand that. Look at your first house. Bring your first house to mind. All right? Now, the first house. This is the aura, the appearance, the demeanor that you were given. These are the personality traits and characteristics that you enter the room with. It's the mask that you put on. It's the garment of your character. Understand that, right? Just because that was given to you don't mean that you know how to use it. And that's part of the problem here. We got to learn how to use this house. How to get intentional behind this force that we walk with, that we carry. Essentially, it's consistent with the life path. What is the consistency with that life path? The life path is what you are learning to take and accept as a spiritual responsibility, a karmic responsibility in this life, to show up for it intentionally. So likewise, you have to utilize the first house to deliver. And it has to become intentional. Not accident, not a mentadent. Not you just, fell on, the pieces just went together. No, you have to strategize, actualize the self. But it starts with awareness of the self and investigation of the self. Why do I perceive the world and life the way that I do? Why do I receive, imply, and infer things the way that I do? Why do I talk the way I talk, walk the way I walk? What's behind the demeanor and energy that I have and the feedback that I keep getting from people? It's our responsibility to investigate this and get down to the bottom of it and really understand it, pick it apart. Mercury's about to head into Scorpio. The fact that Mercury's about to head into Scorpio, our thoughts are going to start probing much deeper to uncover these secrets and mysteries about the self, especially with Mars being present in Scorpio, getting down to the root of the confusion. Who am I? There's a lot of confusion there. Cognitive dissonance because we finally made our way out of the Rothschild-Rockefeller ideal. We are free now. We are decentralized. But the only thing about freedom, niggas get shook when they get free. Niggas get shook when they get free. That's part of the problem. Now that you're free, you're scared. You're worried. You got anxiety. You don't know what to do. Because you realize it's all on you to make something or nothing. Decentralization is here. We are decentralized. There's no more handouts. There's nothing else to hide behind. There's nothing else to blend into. The veil is very thin on the matrix. Who are you in spirit? Who are you in spirit? Don't get lost in the context of this temporal dense reality. Who are you in spirit? You have to work, investigate to find that out, to learn it. You have to make the intention and make intentional effort to really uncover it. It don't just fucking fall on your lap. What is your first house all about? The Aries stellium that we have is geared toward Exactly that. Chiron in retrograde. It's a review about the discomfort that you have in actualizing that first house and representing and showing up for the burden that comes along with that first house. Every time you motion through that first house, there are antagonists, enemies, envy, jealousy, rejection, opposition to what you want to express from that first house. And it's the reason why we packed away many shadows. And we had to do the shadow work to go back in there to get those shadows out and incorporate them back into the being as they should have, instead of leaving the motherfuckers under the goddamn bridge and then peeling off. Go back and get your personalities. Go back and get your powers. Go back and get your wisdom. Go back and get your light codes. Go back and recover them. You put them away so you could get a cheap ass relationship in this fucking realm. Somebody to smile and cheese in your face. And then when you walk off, they have every honest opinion about you that you might not want to hear. You love to be lied to. You love it. You love to be played with. You love it. You love to be deceived. There's a lot of bliss in the ignorance, the selective ignorance. The context of who you are, it is revealed as you investigate what this reality in itself is, because it is a single reflection. What is happening in our current world? Run away from it. Hide away from it. Cover your eyes. Cover your ears. Pretend like you can't see it, like you can't hear it. Pretend like it has nothing to do with you. You're the goody two-shoes on a moral high ground. It has nothing to do with you. It got something to do with everybody else. It's somebody else's job to decode it, to figure it out, to name it, to classify it. It's somebody else's responsibility. And you come and pick up their notes, their cheat notes, to see what they wrote down. But where's your research? Where's your notes? Where's your discovery? What have you found? What have you learned? What have you witnessed? What do you know? What is evident and what is not? You fucking fraud. You coward. You don't want to do your portion. You rely on everybody else to tell you and explain to you what's going on in this world. And you're too scared to be honest with yourself about what you see and what you know and what your spirit is telling you, confirming to you about what you see. That's what that number 7 vibration is at the North Node Pisces. It is to dissolve the illusions of the things that present itself to be one thing while it is something else, totally contradiction underneath in the essence. It is to expose false realities and illusions. Seeing things as they are and not as it presents itself to be, and having the courage, the guts, the resilience to accept those findings as evident. Ignorance is the enemy. Ignorance is a problem. If you are choosing willful ignorance, you are part of the problem. You are part of the violence. You are part of the turmoil and the oppression while you assume the illusion of innocence just because you refuse to get involved. You gotta get involved. And getting involved can be as simple as learning what the truth is. Making the effort to find out what the mystery is. Getting down to the fucking bottom of it. Ignorance is dangerous. It hurts all of us to be ignorant. Why did you come here with that first house representation? Why did you come here with that personality trait? Why did you come here with that perception of your reality? What is it supposed to serve? What are you supposed to do with it? Find out. Get down to the bottom of it. Decode it. Confirm it. Claim it. I'm going to tell y'all niggas right now. The joke's on some of y'all, not on the infamous. Understand that. The joke's on some of y'all niggas, not the infamous. And I tell you why. I know my purpose. I know why I'm here. I know why I came back here. And I know what I did in the last lifetimes. I know where I left off. I'm aware of what channels through me. I know what I'm authorized for in this lifetime. It is very clear to me. I have no doubts. The 11th house is what I am here to speak to. Sun and Mars conjunction in the 11th house. That's what I'm here to speak to. Pluto is transiting the 11th house reality, Aquarius. Therefore, the context of empowerment is in your 11th house just like it is in my 11th house. You are not excused and you are not fucking special. Some of you got some nerve to think that you could turn your head away from the world events, but revolution is what all of us are being called to. Every last one of us. And you don't get to pat your fucking pillow, scratch your ass, and eat your fucking snacks while everybody else fucking works. Get your ass up. Some of you got some fucking nerve. You supposed to show up to the 11th house just like I am. That's where the power's at. That's what empowerment is toward. That's what power is being spoken to. There is a collective oppression on the earth. And every individual is responsible for standing up for it for all of humanity. And what is in your capacity to do is sufficient. It is enough. Even if your capacity only reaches under your own household. But that cannot begin without you having the clarity of what's taking place on earth right now as the collective experience. To decode it and understand it. And see yourself in contrast with it. In collaboration with the efforts to revolutionize a new way of being. Decentralized. From those oppressive powers that are downloading to us. Who the fuck you think you are not to play a role in that? Who the fuck do you think you are not to play a role in that? Get your ass up. I am a messenger to the 11th house. Life path number 9. I know my marching orders. I know what God sent me to do. And I'm on that motherfucker. I'm doing my goddamn job. World affairs, society, politics, world events, the headlines, and to decode those mysteries. To demonstrate what strength and resilience looks like in the face of it. You can't turn a blind eye to this. Just like in 1776, when Pluto was in the same place. All over the globe, it was revolution. This revolution is not with the musket. This revolution is not with the gun. This revolution is not with a sword. There's a war for your mind. There's a war for your perception. There's a war for your children's mind and your children's perception. And the illusions are being produced, manufactured. And if you have been falling for every one of these illusions thus far, you got some work to do in figuring out why your discernment does not work, why your clairvoyance is not kicking in, why your heart is not illuminated to see through the lies. And they're coming for your children. The Khazarians are already onto it. They're after it. They don't like that your children see them for who they really are. And they have a plan to manufacture their mindset in favor of themselves as they spread the doctrine of discovery in modern times. You have to pay attention to what regime is intentionally being pushed and manufactured from one North Node transit to another. Every time the North and South Node transit changes in 18 months, there's a new regime being pushed. And you got to understand what's going on. What regime did we come out of? Feminism and liberalism and homosexuality. What regime are we coming into now? Khazarianism, Zionism, and Christian nationalism. White supremacy. That's what's up next. A continuation of doctrine of discovery and genocide. A finishing off of what was started. The surveillance state, which will manifest intensely as Saturn transits Aries direct for 2.5 years. By that time, we have the Taurus Chiron effect. A collapse of the economy. Symptoms of a Great Depression. A reset of the financial state. How does this play with who you are and what role you're meant to play in this world? What portion is your portion? What is known and what is understood, that through my ignorance, through your ignorance, we do more damage. And it doesn't solve the problem to say, oh, I only intended. I only was trying to. I only wanted to. Your intentions does not cure ignorance. Your goodwill does not fix ignorance and the harm and damage that it does. Do you understand where you are and what is happening? Take a look at your Aries placement. This is the spirit behind the first house. That's the commanding spirit behind the first house. That's the leadership that the first house is supposed to assume. Do we understand? That's where you are the tip of the knife. That's where you are Omo Ogun. God of war, God of iron. That's where you initiate. You rather apologize than ask permission. At Libra, we learn to make it as painless as possible, to harmonize it and add viscosity, to oil the parts, to sharpen the razor so it's less agony and suffering when we have to pull that razor out and cut. You're supposed to make that razor so sharp, they don't even know you cut them. Make it painless, but effective, assertive, but not abusive. Do you understand your instructions? Do you understand your assignment at that house, at your Aries placement? You're supposed to show up there in leadership Libra is the handle. That's the handle of the knife. That drives the knife. Driving the knife with diplomacy, with sensitivity, with justice. While also being effective to drive it through. Do you understand your instructions at your Aries placement? Are you providing the proper maintenance for that Aries placement? We have Ceres at Aries. It requires maintenance. You got to sharpen a knife. You have to oil it. You have to keep it in a sheath protected. Are you doing these things about who you are in this particular house? Are you servicing that aspect of yourself? Neptune retrograde Aries. Neptune retrograde Aries. Did you learn yet? Am I my own ideal, or am I somebody else's ideal? Have you taken ownership of your own ideal, of your identity, and who you are, and what you're supposed to be doing here? Are you your own ideal? Are you hesitant about that? Could some of that hesitation have to do with what's going on here at Libra and Scorpio? You're about to make some cuts. Scorpio was very good at making those cuts. You got your leg tied up. You got to free that first house. You got to free it. It's not meant to serve a corporation. It's not meant to serve an organization, an institution. It's not meant to be bought and paid. It serves the kingdom of heaven. It serves Allah, God, however you want to call. It serves heaven. You were already bought with a price by the Heavenly Father. Jupiter expanding Cancer. Our morality, the restoration of our morality, our moral commitment, having a conscience. That is the real source of our intensity and strength, is that we remember what good is and we remember what right is. And if we can remember what good and right is, if we can remember the truth, restore and recover what truth really is and what it is about, that's what that transit of Mars and Mercury and Black Moon Lilith in Scorpio, it's going to recover and restore to you what truth is really all about. And when you see truth, when you internalize and accept truth, it sets you on fire with intensity and fearlessness. It sets you on fire with boldness. It makes a warrior of you when you remember what truth is. And you side with that truth. And you clear your conscience by aligning with moral integrity. Cancer, Jupiter. And that right there is what makes a fearless warrior, a real revolutionary. Pete Hegseth lining up the troops to do more pull-ups, sit-ups, and push-ups. Fat shaming the military. And let's be honest, a lot of it was productive. It needed to be said. How you in the military and you walk around here a fat fucking slob? That's ridiculous. But some of the things that he said reveals his immaturity, his lack of wisdom. You don't make fearless troops a fearless man, an intense warrior through such means. What makes a fearless warrior, what makes an intense warrior, is the love that he has in his heart for his family and for his country. But how can that clarify in a man's heart? Without recovering the truth in this nation, without re-establishing moral significance in this nation. When you have deprived the country of its moral significance, and you have deprived the country of a sense of honor and dignity with families, you have alienated the men from society, taking away the average man's ability and capacity to confidently look at a woman and say, I want to marry her because I have the capacity to take care of her and raise a family. You've taken that away from the people. So how can you have soldiers who have courage in their heart? A man has to die for something, not die for nothing. When a man feels loved, honored, respected, needed, and appreciated, he's willing to die, because that's our nature. They're creating the opposite, not knowing that they're eventually going to get the opposite out of those troops in the direction that they're going in pure arrogance. The real revolutionaries, the real warriors are being made by God himself out here in the world, in the hearts. And it's through these means that we are passing through to make sure that we do not sell ourselves, to make sure that we do not sell the mission for codependency, to be accepted, to avoid rejection. You want to understand astrology? Oh, really? You want to know yourself through astrology? Oh, really? It's a lot deeper than what you're willing to respect, possibly. So before I explain what I'm going to say, I want you all to consider your first house, your ascendant, okay? Consider your first house. The first house, that's the self. Where the sun placement is at, that's the platform of the self from which you will perform your soul's duty in this earth. I need you to look at the first house as someone who had to die and come back alive, because that's the case. First to know is that Virgo and Scorpio are one and the same. One goes up into route, one goes down into route. One restores the value of the self, Virgo. One restores the power of the self, Scorpio. So in the death of the self that had to die too, the fictitious ideals of self, the incorporated ideals of the self, the commercial ideals of the self, the Rothschild Rockefeller ideal of the self, he died. She died. You must accept that he died. She died. And what died with him, what died with her, is the illusion of purpose that he or she was chasing. Now the truth self is resurrected. The luster of the Christ impulse of the self, that light, that illumination, it comes through the rebirthing process of South Node Virgo, number 9 Hermit card. This is Mother Mary and Son Jesus, or Christ impulse. The Christ impulse is what is being rebirthed. That is your heart, as it is a voice, a wisdom, a messenger of heaven, of God, not of some brand or some commercial, some institution, organization, corporation, fictitious entity, a name badge, a title, an accolade. No, that was the dead corpse, the dead corpse status. That is the dead corpse status. We are not living anymore for the Social Security card, all caps person. We have accepted that that is a dead corpse status. There's a lot more to cover and talk about with this. But these details are first of the spirit. Through number 9 Hermit card Virgo process, we are redeeming ourselves from the detriment that we got ourselves into through Venus. The misfortunes that we created of ourselves through Venus. The addictions, the escapism, the self-entrapment, the indulgence in the lust, the desires, and the glittery things in life, the superficiality, the fakeness, the fool's gold. Virgo number 9 Hermit card process, it is to starve us of that. We are fasting from that, so that the true spirit of the true light of the heart, the true gold of the heart, can be refined. It is a refinement of the true and actual value of the self. We are just coming out of South Node Libra. South Node Libra was the pinnacle of Satan, the pinnacle of Lucifer, the pinnacle of fool's gold, the pinnacle of false light, the pinnacle of Luciferic knowledge, information, and illusions, the things that catch the eyes and the ears, but it is empty calories. It is empty calories, fakeness. We're coming into authenticity, sincerity, truth, and that can only break through the heart, through a rebirthing process of Virgo. It gives birth to the Christ impulse in the self, where the heart has the truth restored in the spirit, where we are able to then recognize true from false, where we are able to understand and discern the difference between what is real and what is not real. When we refuse this process, which requires isolation of us, 12th house, concentration, until we are reborn into an attitude of acceptance for that isolation chamber that rebirths the light over and over again, the sterilization of the spirit. Until then, and unless we subject ourselves to this, we will not be able to discern. We will not have discernment. We will not have clarity, understanding, truth. How many of you out there right now today fell for the tricks of this Charlie Kirk illusion? You thought it was real, natural occurrence, but they played your ass. You thought the school shootings was something that's real. They make this shit up. They create it. You thought 9/11 was real. They created that. You thought the white girl on a bus that got stabbed is a real thing. No, they created it. And they don't mind taking lives to create the story. They don't mind killing their own citizens to create the story. They don't mind that. So if you don't have this process, your heart is dead and you can't discern the truth. You believe anything that you see. You believe anything that you hear. You fall for propaganda. You have no light in yourself, so you're looking for somebody else's light to follow. You have no meaning or purpose of your own, so you're falling into the illusions of this world, distracted, running in circles and futile missions. Never happy or satisfied in the soul. Trying to fill the holes with that which is unhealthy for you, empty calories, indulging in distractions and self-undoing. Never able to produce actual value of yourself, true value in yourself. So you blow the bank, you spend and you spend and you spend to try to make up for value that you cannot produce within yourself. It leads to consumerism. When it comes to the Scorpio, what I just explained applies to Virgo, South Node context. So now, Venus is currently in opposition to the North Node, Pisces. So this opposition, it has you to review where you have been escaping and not showing up accountable, where you have been resisting that 12th house isolation that's really rebirthing the best in you, where you have been resisting to transform isolation into solitude by simply accepting through an attitude of appreciation the process that makes you great, which is the frugality, which is the introspect, which is the self-reflection, which is the moderate lifestyle, which is finding maturity within yourself to see what is truly good for yourself, not what feels good to yourself. The discipline, the self-restraint. The Scorpio aspect to the first house. Scorpio's how the first house is reborn, is resurrected, not reborn, but resurrected. A rebirthing has to include Cancer, which is to get reconnected with the matriarchal principle and foundation of the self. That's rebirthing. Rebirthing. You have to incorporate the Cancer matriarchal value of the self into the self-illumination of the number 9 Hermit card process. And for that reason, Cancer and Virgo goes hand in hand with Ceres. Okay? Ceres. And Ceres is where? It's in Aries, the identity, the first house. So Ceres includes the matriarchal foundation along with the Virgo number 9 Hermit card process that saves us from the detriment of Venus and spoiling the value and the refinement of the self, transforming isolation into solitude, which thus incorporates its polarity Pisces, 12th house isolation, that ascends into solitude once we have the wisdom and maturity and self-love to accept such condition and circumstance that was meant to bless us with a renewal and rebirthing of the spirit, of the heart. It all comes together. It's all being expressed from Aries. But what happens when we come to the end of our power as one person, and and in the rebirthing of the self, we now have to find empowerment of the new self. That is through Scorpio. That is through Scorpio algorithm. Scorpio transmutes, transforms the power that we have and utilizes it as wisdom. It transforms venom into antidote. It transforms the dark into light. It turns the problem into the source of the solution. It turns limitation into impossibilities, into infinite possibilities. So through Scorpio, there is a regeneration of the self. It's not a rebirth, but it's a renewal. It's a resurrection. You've come to the death of the self that you once felt power through, that you once felt vitality through. The version of yourself that you once identified as being empowered, capable, and able to make consequence on the earth. And that was a moment of disillusionment where we had to accept in the power of deliverance over our life that took us out of the Rothschild Rockefeller ideal. We had to go into the process of death and resurrection through Scorpio, which also required isolation, which also required a realization of the value of solitude, which also required an internal retrospect of how we're managing our powers, what we're giving power to, and where our empowerment roots and stems from, the core in the self. And this is getting back in touch with the instincts. That's founded upon our psychology. How our emotions and our psychology informs our decisions, our impulses, our reactions, our perceptions, our interpretations. Redefining what is a threat and what is not. What is security? Recovering the truth that was buried down by our own illusions and subjugation to conformity. Recovering the truth, the ugly truth, the dark truth, the harsh truths of the self. Because only from that position can we truly change ourselves. We can't change ourselves until we get to the truth of the self. And that takes admitting to things, accepting of things that could be harsh realities. Empowerment is only behind the truth of ourselves. Not what we wanted to hear, what we wanted to see, and what we wanted to be, but who have you become and what must be done about it. Power has to go to the first house in empowerment. Where have you been giving your power away? How do you get to personal empowerment? Acceptance, alignment with the truth and not falsehood or lies, deception. Do you have the courage and resilience to align yourself with what you see to be true, with what you know to be true, with what is evidently real and true about your reality? Can you align with it? That's where your empowerment is at. You aligning with what the truth is about your reality and not running and ducking away from it, not making excuses for refusing to do so, not justifying and coming up with trick knowledge, fancy sayings, jumping into the crowd of people who are misleading you, but it feels good to be agreed with. No. What's the truth? And what can you do to align with what you find to be the truth? So it's to align the first house with the truth of your story, the truth of your past, the truth of your present, and the truth of the interpretation of the reality in front of you. This also takes knowledge, It takes the uncovering of deep knowledge, researching, getting to the bottom of finding out what the true story is, what the true version is. And from there, no matter how dark, ugly, or painful, you decide to align yourself with it. That is called empowerment, because now you're on a basis and foundation of truth and not lies. Many people have a hard time doing that right now in society at this turning point. It's a new world, and we all see that it's a new world. But in that new world, we all have the responsibility ourselves to find our own empowerment, and finding our own empowerment is only in doing the due diligence to find out what the truth is. That's the point of the North Node, number 7 vibration, Pisces. Currently, it's given us opportunity to see through the illusions, Neptune, of the false reality at hand at the fall of Capricorn theory, Rothschild, Rockefeller, and we have the responsibility of finding out who is each character on the board. What role are they playing? Not what it presents itself to be, but what is it really? We're supposed to get at what it really is, not what it presents itself to be. And we're responsible for doing that. Otherwise, you will never have empowerment to yourself. No, you won't. You'll be a good poet. You'll have good sayings. You'll have click words and social media post bars to recite and sing. But none of it will be true, sincere, or authentic. You will be just as fake as the rest of them. A fraud. A liar, in fact. What's really going on in your world, and what role do you play in it? What is your part in it? What's the truth of this life? North Node Pisces, number 7 vibration, that is our current responsibility, is to find out the truth and to align with it. What's going on in our world right now? White Christian nationalism. Where do you stand with it, and why? What do you know and understand about it? And what does that mean as a call to action for you? Khazarian Zionism. What's the correlation between Khazarian Zionism and Christian evangelical Zionism? What does it mean for you? What does it mean for your children? What does it mean as a turning point in this nation right now? How does that relate to the government? How does that relate to your voting? How does that relate to what you can expect in society tomorrow? What does that have to do with the politics at hand? What does that have to do with the social media, the conversations at work, the conversations in your family, the attitude and energy that people are carrying around, how people perceive themselves, what they think of their life and reality? What is the interpretation and meaning of the fact that I have to choose between the price of gas and the price of a fucking hamburger? How does all of this correlate together? What is the true story behind it? Not what some news teller told me on some bought out media channel. And why the fuck don't you know the goddamn truth? Are you running from the truth? Are you part of the solution in and of itself? Where are your guts to get your glory and truth in this situation? And why are you running and hiding? Why the fuck are you burying your goddamn head down in the dirt? You fraud, you coward. You fraud, you coward. Why don't you know the truth? Why don't you know what's happening? The bliss of ignorance. The bliss of ignorance defies Scorpio. It weakens Scorpio. It impairs Scorpio. It causes internal conflict at your Scorpio placement. It causes internal conflict with the expression of your Pluto impulse. When you walk around here as a fake ass nigga, when you walking around here as a fake ass bitch, when you walking around here being fake as a motherfucker, you are internal conflict with your goddamn self, and everything that presents itself in life is a cognitive dissonance for you. But you want to have peace. You want to feel good. You want to feel fulfilled. You want to know that things are going right in your life. No, it's not. You're cursing yourself, bitch. You're cursing yourself. And you deserve all the hell you catching. You're cursing yourself. This timeline belongs to truth, not to cowards. It belongs to truth. And if you can't line up with the goddamn truth, if you can't have the fucking guts to find out and dig what the truth is and align with it, you gonna suffer like a motherfucker. It ain't gonna get better for you. It's gonna get worse. Because you're a liar, a coward. That first house will never give its fruits to you. Your identity will never clarify to you. Your purpose will never be tasted by you, ever. Because you're a walking liar. You're hiding and running, a fugitive from your damn self. There's a collective responsibility in that hand, and it all ties into your first house. And you can't make sense of that first house until you make sense of the story of what's going on the surface of earth, in your reality, in your world, in your nation, in your society, in your country, in your household, in your community. If you ducking and hiding like a fucking coward, you will never know the interpretation of your first house and what you are meant to give out to the world. You fucking coward. Piece of shit coward. Until you find some goddamn guts, until you find some courage, you will never taste the fruit of your first house, ever. I went over details of the Mercury opposition to Chiron. The Mercury opposition to Chiron. Mercury is in last minute of Libra. And we have Chiron in retrograde at Aries. This opposition has us to review third house and sixth house matters, Virgo and Gemini matters, as blockages in the way to a sense of fulfillment, wholeness, and value in ourselves. Chiron Aries, we know that this has to do with a sense of inadequacy about the self. And what's really being birthed here is a higher or deeper wisdom of the self. And it has to begin somewhere with awareness, the expansion of our awareness. So there are some experiences that has to manifest the awareness of what seems to be lacking, or is there really something lacking? Could it be a perception, a cognitive outlook that we have, Mercury, that has us to feel this way and feedback with ourself? Uranus is in Gemini, giving us an unorthodox perspective and review of our thought process, of our conclusions, of what we have analyzed to be true or false, right or wrong, a possibility or not. And these unorthodox considerations could be part of us solving, finally, that riddle about what am I going to do to feel more whole and complete in my life, or more capable to motion toward the destiny that I know I have, the purpose that I know that I have. This really is a sense of performing before the empty audience. And that performing before the empty audience, we were learning that the feedback we get, we were learning that validation, we were learning that status quo, praise and props, all of these different things It doesn't come along with being the natural person. It doesn't come along with being the true self. These things are not a part of authenticity. Authenticity is not something that you can buy or sell. So we're learning to answer to our calling without the need to be bought or sold or to be validated as we go. Were it not for this, we would show up wherever there's a budget, wherever there's a check to be cut. But the meaning, the purpose that we have is so much deeper. It transcends that. It goes far beyond what we could be purchased or bought for. That's part of the crisis collectively that we all are in this world, is that too many can be bought and sold. You look at our monarchical and oligarchical leadership that we have in our country. You look at the Khazarian small hats mission to now monitor, surveillance, and socially engineer the perception, opinions, the thought process of the people. You know, they just took over TikTok, okay? There are many meetings that they're having about the perception of Gen Z upon the Khazarians and such. And they even have decided that they will pay out between $7,000 and $9,000 per propagandized message in favor of the Khazarians in order to redeem themselves in the image of the people, even though the truth of their heart has already determined that they do not want to be supportive of them. And so now you're going to have many content creators who are paid to push certain messages and agendas and content to socialize the people. Let me remind you that we are in revolutionary codes. And this is part of a revolutionary mindset, is the test, the examination, asking you, can you be bought out? Can you be sold? Can somebody come along and whore you out? Are you a whore? I'm really asking this question to ask yourself. Are you a whore? Can your opinion be bought? Can your perspective be bought? Can your sentiment be bought? And before you answer so fast, saying to yourself with so much zeal, oh, nobody can buy me out. There's no amount of money that can get somebody to betray my own wisdom. It's time to admit to ourselves that there are many ways to purchase someone's opinion, purchase someone's outlook and perspective. And that especially happens when it comes to rejection. How often do we whore ourselves out in order to be accepted, in order to be liked, in order to have an audience, in order to have enough people out there cheerleading for us, clapping for us, giving us likes and comments and all types of support, money, endorsements, commercial enterprise, and all of these different things. There are many ways that we could be bought out and sold out. And this is addressing one of those issues. Mercury, hosting our communications, also hosting the works that we do, 6th house, Virgo, also hosting the connections that we initiate, the intelligence or intellectual property that we have. This is in opposition to Chiron. And there's an underlying aspect of that that says, I realize this is what I'm supposed to do or who I'm supposed to be in life, But love doesn't come with it. Acceptance doesn't come with it. Favoritism doesn't come with it. Big bucks doesn't come with it. I don't get the perks that comes with being true or authentic. And so then you do the alternative. I don't want to be alone. I don't want to be isolated. So I'm going to sell my soul. I'm going to sell the truth. I'm going to put it behind my back and pretend like I don't see it or like I don't hear it. I don't want people saying, hey, I don't want to hang out with you. I don't like you anymore. You can't be my friend. So you slut and whore yourself out so that you don't have to be by yourself, so you don't have to be rejected. And this is a test. Who's real and who's not? Where the real niggas at? This is testing where the real niggas at. Fake niggas is being exposed. This is exposing the fake and the fraud. Can you be sold out? Now, along with that, this also has us to look at our communications. How effective we are with our communications. Mercury obviously closing up in Libra. So is there a need for more viscosity in our delivery? Harmonization. Does it need more sweetener, a softener, some lubrication? What's on the other side of that is my portion is not accepted. What I'm here to create, what I'm here to initiate is not being supported. Is it my communication? Is it my delivery? Is it the content that I'm coming with? It's not a social media thing. This is a relationship thing overall. Libra, 7th house. This is relationships. It can include social media, but this is relationships too. Why am I not feeling the closeness, the close connection that I want to feel? Why am I not getting the results with the people that I feel like I should get? How come I'm not getting the support, the on board? And it has us to question and even doubt ourselves in our communication and delivery, and some guilt and shame can come along with that, and temptation. Oh, is it me? Is it something I said? Do I need to change something? And there you go, selling yourself. There you go, being fake. There you go, wanting to fit in, so you adjust your opinion. You see the truth, but you pretend like you didn't see that because you don't want to be the one to say, how could you say that? How could you think like that? And name calling has so much power. It's so effective. Somebody call you a name, your whole world falls apart. Oh, you anti-Semite. Oh, you racist. Oh, you this. Oh, you that. As an example. So you put it behind you. You're beating yourself up. That Virgo South Node going heavy on the hand with the self-scrutiny. Now, there's another side to this. Mercury Libra. Perhaps I do have to change my delivery. I mean what I say, but do I have to say it the way that I've been saying it? Is there another way to say it? Another way to deliver it where I could be more effective? Where I can harmonize? Can I make this message, this truth less painful? More palatable? How do I sell my points and sell my ideas with less injury and pain? This has a lot to do with the feedback that we're getting. And the fact that the feedback that we seem to be getting, it reads back to us and it explains back to us according to our perception. We perceive according to the feedback that I'm not good enough. that who I am is insufficient, that who I am is inadequate, and who I am is incorrect. Is this really the case? This is a retrograde. The retrograde is a review. It's asking you to heal this perception. In healing the perception, it is only in hindsight that you can heal it. You can't change the past and the patterns that have been going on. You could change how the patterns will go from here on out, but there are inevitable features, inevitable things about yourself that you must learn to accept and not just sit there and cry about. It's time to heal it. And healing it means advancing the meaning that you have ascribed to it. Advancing the interpretation that you have designated to this Chiron pain. That's healing it. Extracting greater wisdom and meaning from it. Knowing that it is meant to be a source of Mars intensity. It is a source of Mars intensity. And where do we transmute that? In Scorpio. And who do we have in Scorpio? Oh, look at that. We have Mars, the warrior, Ogun, god of war, god of iron. Yes, he's there ready to transform and transmute the sense of inadequacy that we have. We could have both of the best worlds. Perfecting the delivery, perfecting the communications, rising up higher into ethical character, rising up higher into making it painless while still delivering the truth, becoming a little more articulate in our expressions. We can do that. We can deliver the impactful message without losing people at the same time. Yes, we can. I struggle with that myself. I struggle very hard with that. I haven't gotten good with it yet, but I'm damn sure making the effort. I have a lot of fire and intensity, but my delivery, I have a lot of work to do with my delivery. I have to improve my delivery because the things that I have to say are very impactful. It can offend, it can hurt, it can bruise. And if I don't find a way to soften those blows and make it a little less painful, I can continue to lose a lot of people. And that does matter. And that can reflect back to me. Oh, is there something wrong with me? No, it's not something wrong with me. It's the fact that truth hurts and offends that much. It is that impactful. So if I understand that, then I have to do what I can to lessen the pain. I have to make the effort. Now, what follows this is that right after we have this realization in our communications, Mercury goes into Scorpio. In Scorpio, we are dealing with the fight or flight. We are dealing with the amygdala and how the amygdala takes part in our expressions. We are also dealing with our instincts and how our instincts are programmed, how it is formatted. What is the default of our instincts? And rather or not, the way that it is set is serving us or is a productive feature in our life. So as Mercury goes through Scorpio, the mind gets very deep. It gets sincere. It gets fixated on getting to the bottom of things, getting to where the truth of the matter is at, having the resilience to look at the underworkings of the matter, having the resilience to get down to the ugly bottom and accept the harsh and ugly truth along the way. And what this really does is it gives us the intensity and the resilience to have the most difficult conversations with ease. Mercury doesn't want to talk about the surface, the birds and the bees, going around in circles, avoiding addressing the issue at hand when it's in Scorpio. When Mercury is in Scorpio, it wants to get down to the bottom of things, get down to the business, get down to the root of problems. Where is the truth of the matter at? Where is the ugly truth? I've got to deal with the ugly truth. The ugly truth about myself and the ugly truth about the situation. The ugly truth about what mutual expectations are on the table and what review that we have to have over it. Mercury also represents documentation and contracts in a sense as well. And the 8th house, Mercury, Scorpio, that is a progression of contracts. That is when contracts are being fulfilled. It is the process that fulfills contracts. So Mercury is going to go into Scorpio, and the leading topics that we are going to have at the forefront of the mind is whether or not we feel or sense fulfillment in what has been going. We are going to address the 8th house issues where it's your power and someone else's power. It's your interest in someone else's interest. It's your risk and value along with someone else's risk and value toward a common aim or common goal. And what gets addressed is how you see that expectations could have become disingenuous, misaligned, unclear, unfair, oppressive, unjust. So this is a going back to the root of matters where expectations seem to continue to fall or fail. Where burdens on our shoulders require a little more clarity, a little more negotiating to recover the justice and the truth in situations. So some secrets could get revealed. Somebody can have conversations with you and say, hey, listen, I've been wanting to say this for a long time. I just didn't know how to say it. But hey, listen, this is going on and that. Oh, okay. That's why we weren't harmonizing. You know, so getting down to the bottom where the truth is at. Not hiding and avoiding, but coming out clean with our communication, putting, nipping things in the bud. The 8th house matters is where there is blood, sweat, and tears toward a common aim or goal. It's where power gets moved, and is where we often run into power struggles. When it comes to power struggles, our feelings can get mixed in there. Our entitlement can get mixed in there. Our expectations can get mixed in there. So it gets very complicated to define justice. What does justice really look like? Because the matter is so deep, cold, and dark, it gets confusing. So Mercury helps us to bring clarity to the entanglements where power struggles are taking place and disappointment and expectations that may have been realistic or unrealistic. But either way, it has to be revisited. So as we're seeking greater freedom in our life through the Juno Sagittarius transit, the passion is coming back to the heart. The passion is coming back to the spirit. Because we were blocked out from a sense of fulfillment in our life as we went through necessary water trine transformations of Cancer Mars retrograde and the stellium of Scorpio consisting of Juno, Vesta, and Black Moon Lilith. That is a time where we had to be in isolation to incubate that rebirthing. And that rebirthing means we had to detach from a false idea of what fulfillment, purpose, and meaning in our life was according to the Rothschild-Rockefeller ideal. But now we have come back to the natural, decentralized expression of the authentic self. So the passion has to bring us to the purpose and fulfillment lived out. And that's through Sagittarius. And we have to have freedom to do that. So part of that freedom, so that we could finally feel alive again as the fires of Sagittarius spreads, an expression of the self as the resurrected firebird, the phoenix. In hindsight, there are chains and cords that we have to cut and detach from this self that wishes to take flight. And the cutting of the chains and cords, it's a very meticulous process. It's like diffusing a bomb. And that's in the depths of Scorpio where that has to take place. Mars is making the necessary cuts and releases of karmic bonds and ties that were part of the catalyst that brought us to a rebirth through healing and deep transformation. The many faces of death through the shadow work and the wilderness, where we had to learn to accept the darkness and shadows of ourself, the suppressed expressions and aspects of the self, and incorporate them into the sincere expression and delivery of the self. So Mercury helps us to make those final conversations and to realize, recognize cognition. What else has to be completed so that my ankle is not tied to a ball anymore? And it's the 8th house where we have a ball and chain. Obligations, duties that we're dragging around that may need review. Because in the past, there were certain things you were obligated to according to the person you were. But now looking forward, you realize you're going to have to release yourself of certain obligations that you placed on yourself or that others placed on you in order to explore the meaning of freedom without compromising your sense of groundedness and security at the same time, which is why it's like diffusing a bomb. You can't cut the wrong cord. You have to have security and stability while also exploring what freedom means to you from here. Difficult conversations, harsh realities to accept. And most of this has to do with the way we are thinking, the perceptions that we have, the effectiveness of our communications or not. That Scorpio stellium now with Mars, Black Moon, Lilith, and Mercury, it's all about detachments, making the necessary detachments, the cutting off, the severing of ties and cords. Why? It was a karmic bond. And that karmic bond was a catalyst, a cocoon that allowed you to resurrect and transform. It wasn't meant for you to be in permanence in that state of being. Rather, it is you tied to a person, tied to a job, tied to a situation. This is going to be some cutting off, some severing of ties in order to step into the expression of freedom in the stellium that is shifting over to Sagittarius. Taking flight freely, no longer on crutches. Lazarus come forth. This is real resurrection. This is also seeing the illusions of the matter and thinking that certain things were destined for us, certain things were part of the fulfillment of our life, and it was just a stepping stone. It was a means to an end. Mission complete. If we look at this Mars, this Scorpio Mars, for example, Scorpio Mars doesn't want to compromise. It knows what it wants and it's sticking to its instincts. It's loyal to its instincts. It knows what truth is for itself. It knows what is real for itself. It knows what upholds its own power. So I'm not willing to negotiate here. I'm very clear and I'm very certain about this. Mercury helps us to articulate this. So that there's less blood, less black eyes, less bruises. Black Moon Lilith. This is a reclaim of the shadow aspects of the self in recovery. And it's like you're taking the shadows of yourself and you have them in the Underground Railroad like Harriet Tubman running in the night to the north. Because there's so much scrutiny and judgment for these expressions of yourself, the aspects of yourself that you recovered. The only thing that makes you authentic in the first place is the very thing that has you accused always and judged. The very thing that makes your first house, your ascendant, your rising, true to your nature, are the very things that people hate you for, the very things that you get rejected for, the very things that you get shamed and scrutinized over and over again for. And somehow you've gotten a glimpse of that truth, of that reality, of the fact that who I really am seems to be the displeasure of others. It seems to be something that warrants insecurity out of others and hatred, animosity, separation, division out of others. So this Mars has us to have staying power about those shadows in ourselves, about who the deep and true authentic self is, and that loyalty must be there and we must not break loyalty to the self. The shadows must come with us. The shadows must be a part of our expression, a part of our demeanor, a part of our delivery, a part of everything that we are. We're not here to dance around everybody's feelings. We owe respect, we owe dignity, we owe tact, but we don't owe worship to other people's feelings. Mercury is coming into Scorpio, and that is the communication of this is the best that I could do. But the rest, you're going to have to learn how to deal with it because this is who I am. I put pillows on it, I added sugar, I added honey, and it's still not good enough for you. I'm not going to be who you want me to be. I'm not going to be what you prefer me to be. But who I am is someone who is valuable, important, in fact, even essential to the here and now. And if you miss the opportunity, that's on you. But I got something to deliver, whether you want it or not. This is really reclaiming the shadow aspects of the self and incorporating it in our commitments and endeavors into greater freedom. As Juno steps into Sagittarius, commitment and endeavor into greater freedom, Vesta, this expression is sincere, it is holy, it is for heaven. This is my soul that's calling me to it. This ain't for clout, this ain't for retention. I got to do this, but I'm bringing my shadows with me. Mars, Black Moon Lilith, Mercury, I'm bringing my shadows with me. I will not go into greater freedom without my shadows. I'm going to bring my darkness. I'm going to bring my shadows. I'm going to bring the aspects of myself that I seem to continuously get rejected for. I'm going to bring it. And y'all niggas going to have to deal with this. And I'm not going to keep beating myself up like something's wrong with me. No. Something wrong with y'all motherfuckers for not being able to accept who the fuck I am. You have a need to change me, silence me, control me, stop me, block me, envy me, hate on me, reject me, isolate me. Yeah, all that. And this has to do with the generation of truth sayers, light workers, real healers, real leaders and teachers. It is realized that the kingdom of falsehood is falling down. The people who were paid to stand, the people who were bought out and sold out, the people who had the looks and the charisma but led everybody into darkness and betrayal. The real light workers are now standing. The real truth sayers are now being called forward. The underdogs are now up. Those who used to stand and thrive are now to fall. And those who were deprived in the wilderness for all so long are now being called to the forefront. And that's what this is. But you cannot accomplish that if you have not learned to accept who you are. Chiron Aries, or Aries Chiron, that is you at the first house, not accepting what the first house assignment is. You have hesitation to be what you are called to be. That first house is what you are to express in your personality, in your image, in your being, but you refuse to do so because of the rejection. You want to silence yourself and sit in the back, run and hide away, but you are being called to a mission that requires you to fight in the good way, in the right way, as a light worker, as a healer, as a revolutionary. And there are so many ways to express that. These are revolutionary codes. There is going to be resistance to that. There's going to be opposition to that. This is a review of who you are at the first house, who you are at the ascendant, and whether or not you accepted the reality of how that first house is to perceive its reality. Who are you trying to please?